Hey, good evening. Thank you for joining us on the Scabbard tonight. I am Dave Valente, and yeah, another tough game on Friday night. Buffalo falls to the Winnipeg Jets, 3-2 in regulation. So no, not even a loser point in that game. And the stat of the night will start off early. Sabres now 15th in the conference, and last in the Atlantic.
Excuse me just a second. I've got to go pee and then throw up, and because the information is not pleasing. This
No, no, it was not pleasing to see this, but it's early in the season. The Eastern Conference is very competitive. I mean, Sabres win 3 games in a row. They're on 21 points and they're right back in the thick of things. So it's not too early to push the panic button. But remember, next week we're less than a week away from U.S. Thanksgiving, which is kind of if you're not in a playoff position by U.S. Thanksgiving, it's kind of a bad sign for the rest of the season. Um, Sabres were not in playoff position last year at Thanksgiving. They had gone through an 8 game winless streak and did not make the playoffs by 1 point. So, the early season points matter, and we dropped a heartbreaker to the Winnipeg Jets. Literally 10 minutes of that game decided the entire game. Um, the defense fell asleep for about 10 minutes. I think Comrie admittedly fell asleep for about a minute there for the Sabres, and that was all she wrote for that game. So let's talk about that game. The first period was a little bit of a snoozer. It was a defensive battle, not too much action really at either end. Um, kind of a feeling out process, which is not unexpected when you're having two teams from different conferences playing each other for the first time. Um, all until about the last minute, and then there was a breakaway by Kyle Connor, who fanned on a second chance shot. Which, if he had gotten that, it was a goal. Kind of a sign of things to come early in the second period when the defense backed down early on that Cole Perfetti goal. It was a transition game, but both defensemen just skated right past the face-off dots and back into Comrie, allowed Cole Perfetti to get down really close to the slot, fire a shot home. Probably a puck that Comrie should have, but when you let a guy with that speed come in and make a shot like that, it's a tough call for a goaltender. Although you would like to see them make that kind of save. But yeah, the defense kind of slept walk through the first half of that second period. A couple minutes later, it's 2-0, and then Tuck gets a nice kind of against the flow of play goal to get the Sabres back in it, down 2-1. Before just an absolutely horrid goal by Nick Ehlers. Comrie fell asleep on that one. It was a floater. I mean, he was just basically shooting the puck at the net from the blue line, ready to go off the ice, and the puck just floated into the net, into the top corner. Uh, Clear that Comrie didn't see it. It was from out of a ways, and there was some traffic in front of him, but still, definitely a goal that you don't want getting past your goaltender. But every goaltender has one of those nights, and outside of those goals, I didn't think Comrie played horribly, but not he didn't make the goal. He didn't make the saves that the Sabres needed to pull that game out. Um, but they did after probably about the 10-minute mark of the second period. The Sabres did have some pushback in the latter half of the second period. Didn't get enough shots. They came out in the third period, got 12 shots to Winnipeg 6, and it was a good push, but it wasn't enough. We got the breakaway from JJ Peterka to make it 3-2 early in the third period, and the Sabres had the puck, and it was kind of that play that you want to see the Sabres have all year. If they played 60 minutes like that and lost, you tip your cap to the opposing goaltender and move on. But they did have lapses in that game where they just they didn't have enough puck. They didn't play urgent enough. They did get to that level in the third period, but that's a level you need to be at 60 minutes a game. So and then the Benson call towards the end of the game was absolutely just disaster. I mean, how are you going to make the kid? 19-year-old kid is 1 on 3 behind the net getting mugged by guys, and they are he's the only one they take out of that pile. That was just absolute bush league call by those refs, um, and, cost the Sabres a chance at having a competitive finish, a competitive push towards the end of the game, so, but again, leaving it down to the last couple of minutes, that's the Sabres' fault. Bring the intensity the entire game and things will work out for you. Now, I will say, this is the third loss in a row. Um, when you have losing streaks like this feels like one of those games like you think you should have won that game. You played at least reasonably well enough to have won that game, but you didn't. And it's kind of like you always have that before you get out of a long losing streak. So that has me hopeful. Uh, we come into probably the second worst team in the league now, with the Chicago Blackhawks. We're going into Chicago. We've had issues against Chicago in the past. We've had tremendous comebacks. I'll remember the 5 goal comeback that we had against the Chicago Blackhawks a couple seasons ago. It was kind of a stunner. I don't even know why I've watched the whole game. I remember when Chicago went up 5-0. I was like, I should just go to bed. And all of a sudden, Olsen scores a couple. Tage Thompson gets that fluky goal off the end boards, and the Sabres skate away with a 6-5 regulation win. Just an absolute stunner. But the Blackhawks beat the Sabres last year. Again, we missed the playoffs by a point. That's an important point. When a team that was actively trying to tank takes points off of you. They're essentially saying, "Hey, take these 2 points because we're wanting to get the best draft pick overall." And the Blackhawks were lucky because they didn't finish with the worst record. They did win the lottery and got Connor Bedard, who's an absolute stud. But let's take a look at the Chicago Blackhawks. They're 5-10 on the season, not unexpected record for them. Again, they tore down that franchise so badly that I'm not expecting them to make, even get anywhere near the playoffs. They did bring in some talent, Taylor Hall, Corey Perry. Corey Perry may be past his sell by date, but still a decent lower six guy. Um, Taylor Hall give you the second line minutes. Nick Foligno is now on the first line with Bedard. Um, I actually expect these guys to be shipped off for more pieces parts for a rebuild in the offseason, at the trade deadline. It's just bringing those guys. They're on 1 year contracts, low year contracts. You can ship them off at the trade deadline and get some picks to continue your rebuild. But 5-10 at this point in the season. They're led by Connor Bedard, who leads in goals and points, and he's right about a point a game player. And Seth Jones leads in assist on the back end. And Peter Mrazek has been their best player in the nets, has 4 victories on the season, um, and decent enough goaltending numbers. He is the guy that will be playing tonight. That has been announced. Soderblom, the backup, got the start in Nashville. The Blackhawks dropped a 4-2 decision to Nashville yesterday. So the Sabres actually have a little bit of an advantage in this game. Yes, it's in Chicago. Chicago has the home ice advantage, but Chicago played yesterday, and we're playing in Nashville, so they had a flight to come into Chicago today or yesterday evening. So the Sabres will be a little bit more rested than the Chicago Blackhawks. But again, the Sabres have a history of playing to the level of the teams that they're playing really good against some teams that you're not surprised if they lose to, and then just dropping absolute stinkers against teams that they should beat. This is a team they should beat. It would be nice to see the Sabres get out to a comfortable lead and play with that lead and close out a game and stop this losing streak. So that's what I'm expecting from the Sabres. We don't always get what we expect from the Sabres. This probably will go down to the end. A lot of these recent games with the Chicago Blackhawks have gone into overtime. So dropping a point still is not good. You need 2 points in this game. Um, Again, a lot of road games between now and the middle of December. Time to really start stacking points. You can't fall much further behind, or you're just going to be playing catch up the rest of the season and putting too much stress on the back half of the season where you could have taken care of business on the front half of the season. So, the Hawks projected lines tonight from Charlie Leotis, I'm sorry. It's going to be Foligno, Bedard, Kurashev on that first line. Taylor Hall, Kirby Reichel, and Taylor Radish on that second line. Tyler Johnson, Jason Dickinson, and Corey Perry on the third line. Ryan Donato, Mackenzie Entwistle, and another Johnson. There's a lot of Johnsons. There are four Johnsons, possibly four Johnsons in this game. There are more Johnsons than a male review. Um, question number, or I'm sorry, Hawks projected defensive pairings tonight. Uh, the younger Velasquez brother is on the blue line for the Blackhawks with Seth Jones, Kevin Korchinski, and I can't remember, Connor Murphy, former Arizona Coyote. Kaiser and Phillips are the third pairing. Our goaltenders tonight for the Hawks are Peter Mrazek, the starting goaltender, and Arvid Soderblom, the backup. There are scratches tonight: Blackwell, Tenerty, Athanasio, and Zaitsev. Zaitsev might return tonight. Um, he's back. He's not listed as out. He was out on a personal matter. He's back. I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup or where he would be in the lineup. They haven't put out any changes to their lines from yesterday. All they have done is announce that Peter Mrazek is going to be the starting lineup or starting goalie. Some questions with the Sabres line. The forward lines are pretty straightforward. Heather Angle provided the Skinner Cousins Tuck, Turka Middlestat, Brett Benson, Gergensons Krebs, Okposo, Greenway Jost Olafson. Same lines as the Jets game. The defensive pairings may have a little bit of questions. We've got Darlene Samuelson. I don't think that's going to change. Ryan Johnson, Owen Power, Clifton, Eric Johnson, Yogi Haru. There's a press conference about 5:30, well, about an hour and a half before each game starts. They announced that Yoki Haru is playing, but they are not now announcing for who he's playing. I hope it's not an 11-7 situation. Just sit one of the other defensemen. I don't care who. We can serve maybe Darlene and Samuelson. Um, make it Yoki Haru. I mean, if you have to sit Ryan Johnson, it's not uncommon for Coach Granato to sit a young player for a couple of games to get them that press box look see at the game and see the game from that perspective. He did it with Quinn and Paterka last season. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if he does it with Ryan Johnson tonight and give Power back his normal partner. The Sabres goalies tonight listed as Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen coming back in off of being healthy scratch the previous game. Eric Comrie, who lost the game on Friday night, is the backup. And it looks like I've got UPL as the healthy scratch, but no, it's Devin Levi will be the scratch for the healthy scratch for the Sabres goaltenders. Bryson, healthy scratch. Yogi Haru was listed as day to day, but looks like he'll be back. Of course, Thompson's on injured reserve, and Jack Quinn is on long term injured reserve. Tonight's odds by DraftKings. Play responsibly, play responsibly, play responsibly. Sabres are giving up a goal and a half, so the Sabres are the favorite in tonight's game. They have to win by 2 for you to win. The over-under is 6.5. That number's been dropping as the Sabres have had some scoring woes, which is not a surprise. But going into this game, there are some players that have had good runs against the Chicago Blackhawks. Kyle Poso has 8 points in the last 8 games against Chicago. Casey Middlestat, a goal and 3 assists, including that overtime winner in the RJ game. RJ's last call. Let's see. Victor Olofsson has at least 1 goal in 2 consecutive games against Chicago and has 5 goals and 6 points. 5 goals, 1 assist, and 6 points in 5 career games against the Blackhawks. And Alex Tuck has notched 10 points, 4 goals, and 6 assists in his last 9 games against Chicago. So there are players that are scoring against the Chicago Blackhawks. If you're looking for a player to score against Chicago Blackhawks, I'm going to say my pick to click tonight is going to be Casey Middlestat. Would like to see him step up in a enhanced center role for the Sabres. So let's see. Player profile tonight, Eric Comrie. So Eric Comrie is the backup tonight. He is a 1995 birth, just born after my birthday on July 6th. of 1995. Canadian uh, was the Jets' second round pick, 59th overall in the 2013 NHL draft. Made it up to the Winnipeg Jets, played for a few seasons with the team, um, mainly as a backup to Connor Hellebuck. Um, when Hellebuck had some injury issues a couple of seasons ago, he stepped in admirably. And when the offseason came with Comrie becoming a free agent for the first time, the Sabres snapped him up in the offseason. He had a good start with the Sabres last season, did get injured in November and kind of led to that whole 8-game slide that we had. Um, and didn't look right. I don't know if he still had injuries as we went through the season. Has played decent. Again, I didn't think he had a great game the other night, but it was, it wasn't like the Jets had a ton of shots. So it was kind of maybe he fell asleep. I don't know, but he's done decently since he's come to the Sabres. He's not going to be the second coming of Tretiak or Patrick Waugh or even Dominic Hasek. Um, but he's going to be a serviceable goaltender. Um, I like his game overall. Um, but yeah, we need to give him time. But time is not what the Sabres fans want to give people. So it is what it is. But I really enjoy Eric Comrie. I hope he stabilizes the back end for the Sabres. At least for just this season. Ideally, I would like to see them send down Devin Levi to Rochester and let him play every night as the starting goalie of the Rochester Americans and not have the pressure of being an NHL starting goaltender and work on his game. Um, the numbers bear it out this season that Levi's probably had the worst numbers of the Sabres goaltenders so far. Um, so and it's no shame in sending a goaltender down. There's been plenty of goaltenders that have played in not only the AHL but the ECHL to go on to have tremendous NHL careers. In fact, that's kind of the normal progression for any goaltender. Um, and then allow Luukkonen and Comrie to backstop the Sabres. Maybe eventually bring in another goaltender in a trade. You'd probably have to move out Luukkonen or Comrie if you did that, but um, I think that's the ideal situation is that Comrie and Luukkonen take over the reins at the goaltender position, allow the Sabres to give Levi some time to develop some more. Keys to the game again. Where this is, saying third straight night I've done this same keys to the game because it still applies. Be ready to go from the start. It was a slow start to the Winnipeg Jets game. They didn't really get their offense going until the third period. They played well defensively in that first period, but did not play well in the second period. Play disciplined. They had more penalties than the Jets, um, including that Benson penalty, which was horrible. It should have been an even up call rather than picking one guy at the end of the game to serve the penalty. But still, play more disciplined. When you're still working on your power play and your shorthanded game, the worst thing to do is to load one of your special teams up with bad chances. So, and then simplify the game again. Get the pucks to the net. Get net bodies to the net. Uh, Play off of the boards. Play in the center of the ice. Um, More direct north south game. Simplify the game. Once you do that, you're going to start having success. And the more you can make that a habit, the better you're going to be. All right, tonight's uh, on this date, November 19th, 1999, Marty Biron records his first NHL shutout with an 18 save effort versus the artist formerly, well, the artist now known as the Winnipeg Jets and the Atlanta Thrashers. RIP to the Thrashers. I lived there in Atlanta during the end. It was sad. It's no good losing a team, and if you ever want to hear me wax poetic about the BS that it was for the Atlanta losing the Thrashers, I can do 2 shows on that one. But anyway, let's go to the farm. Rochester are 8-4-2 on the season, third in the North Division of the AHL. They overcame three early goals in the third period with 3 of their own, taking down Cleveland 7-5 last night. They host Laval Wednesday and Friday. So the Laval Rocket are I think Montreal's top team and in last place in the North Division. So and Cleveland was Columbus's top team. So good on the Baby Sabres in Rochester for getting it done. I believe Roseanne had a couple goals. Byro had a goal. Kulik had a goal. It was a good night for the boys. A little shaky on the defensive side, giving up 3 goals at the beginning of the third period to fall behind 5-4, but still got the job done and won the game. When it comes to Jacksonville, the Jacksonville Icemen are having a little bit of a struggle, particularly at home. They've had the 3 games that they've dropped in a row were all at home. Lost weekend to Greenville, losing Friday and Saturday night by a pair of 5-3 losses. And on Wednesday, they'll be hosting the South Carolina Stingrays, the top team of the Washington Capitals. Um, who I believe they lost to earlier this season. So, but it's a continuation of a long homestand for the Icemen. They need to get it together to right the season because they've been sinking quite rapidly. Had a pretty good start to the season, but have sunk since. All right, that is the show for tonight. Thank you for watching. Um, Go ahead and check out the MSG Live Sabres game night with Marty and Duffer. Turn on WGR if you're not near a television. Um, it's going to be a good night. Hopefully, the Sabres can right the ship a little bit. Um, and if you're post game, if you're interested in watching something that's political related, I have the political deep dive at 10 p.m. tonight. Dan, AJ, and myself will be talking about the news, politics, and pop culture of the week, and do the CNN News World Quiz. And we also do Our World feature where we feature a country each time we do a free for all Sunday, which is what we're doing tonight. And that is featuring the Kingdom of Sweden. So I hope you join us tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern on this very channel. And we'll check you out then. Uh, Next game for the Sabres is Tuesday night. So we'll be joining us. Let me get the game time for that Tuesday night game. I believe it's 7 o'clock start. It is in Washington, or no, it's Wednesday night. So next game is Wednesday night against the Washington Capitals. Game time is at 7 o'clock. The show is at 6 o'clock, and I will see you all there getting ready for a massive Turkey Day feast. So have a good one, everybody. Let's go Buffalo, end this losing streak, and give us a W to celebrate the start of the week. Take care, everybody.